Hey everybody, it's Grady at Twin Creek Audio. Today I'm in the dining room set up on the table with this Retro Digital Audio Workstation, the centerpiece of which is this classic Mac. It's a PowerBook G3. This was codenamed Pismo. And we've got some other equipment set up, which I've got some close-up shots for you, and then I'll also show you the specs of this machine, which I believe is 400 megahertz G3, 1 gig of RAM, but I'll pull up that screen here in a minute once I focus in on the screen. And we're going to try and do a mix with an older version of Nuendo 1.5.2, and we're going to use external drive and the equipment I'm about to show you. Now I copied the files, the stems for this, which actually it's all the individual tracks. I copied them using a USB drive. And yes, this retro classic Mac here will read a FAT32 formatted 8 gig or 16 gig thumb drive. I haven't tried anything larger than that with it, but I know it works with an 8 and a 16, both formatted FAT32. So it's pretty awesome for a machine. This is 20 years old and it will still do that too. Let's see the close-ups and let's see what this rig can do. So I'm going to show you this setup now. I'm still looking for two cables to connect the studio monitors to the Motu 828, but I thought I'd show this before I connect those so you can see it a little bit better. I've got the big overhead lights on. This side of the table is a little bit dark, but there I've got the Motu 828 FireWire, and then we have the PowerBook G3. And here's the PowerBook G3 with Mac OS9. I'll show some screenshots of the exact specs here in just a minute. And then there's the LaCie external FireWire drive enclosure that has a Hitachi SATA drive. I think it's 160 gig. And then there's the second Fostex PM04N. It's what I'm going to use for this retro DAW setup here, which is up on the dining room table. Back there is a newer MacBook Pro, but that's not being used in this video. That's just over there for, a place for me to sit and look things up if I need to. So around the back here, you can see we've got the back cover on the PowerBook G3 open. And that has the two FireWire ports, and then I have one of the USB ports, has the receiver for the mouse. Because while I film this, I can't use the trackpad or it'll get in the way of the camera. And here's the FireWire input on the 828. I'm going to connect the monitors to the main outs and monitor over here. And those are going to connect to the Fostex PM04N studio monitors that are powered. I use that for this retro DAW mix, Retro Digital Audio Workstation mix. I really like this old PowerBook G3. This thing was made in 2000. It is July 1st, 2020, and this guy still works. In fact, it's got an original battery here in the side. And it does still charge. Charges up only halfway now, but this is one of the original batteries with this. It's a really reliable computer and perfect to do this retro DAW thing. This was also a perfect machine for me to keep out of a lot of the old classic Macs that I had over the years, since it's a laptop and it's easier to put away and store. There's the About This Mac screen, showing that we're running Mac OS 9.2.2, 1 gig of built-in memory. I have virtual memory turned off. I tried to minimize the glare on this as much as possible, but this is the Apple System Profiler report for this computer, showing the Finder version, OS version, disk cache, memory type, the memory modules that are in it, the machine ID, PowerPC G3 400 megahertz. So that's the overall setup. The PowerBook G3 with the Motu 828 Firewire, the two Fostex PM04N studio monitors, a LaCie external Firewire hard disk enclosure with a Hitachi 160 gig SATA drive, and I'm actually using a Microsoft mouse, wireless mouse, because it works with Mac OS9 just fine, and that's what I had that was free and not being used at the moment. So that's our setup. I'm going to get the stationary camera set up now and go to work trying to mix this song. Let's launch Nuendo. I'm hand holding the camera so I can zoom into this, and you can see version 1.5.2, June 6, 2001. So in Nuendo now, Nuendo 1.5.2, we're going to create a new project. I'm just going to create an empty project, and then it wants me to choose the folder. So I'm going to create a new folder with the name of the song, which in this case is Uninvited. Create, choose that folder for that project, and now it's in here, so let's go ahead and save the project. Uninvited. And then now I'm going to import all of the files. Audio file. It's on our media drive. And it should be called Uninvited Stems, if I can find that. Let's go ahead and import all the files to this project. Copy files to working directory, convert and copy to project if needed. I think in this case they do have to be converted because, I mean, they're 48K 24-bit files. Maybe they didn't have to change file format, it just has to construct the waveforms for a minute. So the song here that I'm working with is a song from the first Completus album, one that my friend Heath and I made back in 2014, 2015. The song is just kind of a basic rock song. I chose this because it has a good amount of different tracks to play with, but not too many, so we're not hopefully going to overload the old PowerBook G3 with this software. So now I'm just using my lapel mic, which is a stereo lapel mic, and the monitors are on either side of me. I'm not going to do anything super complicated. This song has already been mixed and released before. I'm just going to do a quick mix on the PowerBook G3 with the Retro Digital Audio Workstation and just see how well the system performs. Let's walk through the tracks that I've got here. I have, they're not exactly stems. This is basically the individual tracks of the song, starting with kick drum, snare drum, hi-hat, 1, 2, 3 toms, overhead left and right, and then a drum room mic. These were all recorded in my old duplex in the living room with wood floors, and everything's close mic'd. The kick I know is an Audix D6. The snare would have probably been my Audix D1. Hi-hat I almost always use a PVM 480. The toms, at this time I believe I was using SM57s and probably a 421 on the third tom, which is the floor tom. It's my 1967 Ludwig kit. The overheads would have probably been Audio-Technica Pro 37Rs. And the room mic, I really don't have any idea. Well, let's give that a listen and see what the tonality of this room mic is. And find the drum room right here. It sounds like it's one of my condenser mics. I'm not sure which one. I also have used Electro Voice, one of the EV Blue Raven mics. I've used that on room, but this sounds like a condenser to me. So let's hear a little bit of this.
Now these tracks were recorded through a Carvin MX 2488, I think is what it was. It was an 8-bus studio console that Carvin made, and I had one of those for a while, and I definitely remember that I tracked a lot of the stuff, including the lead vocals on this song, were tracked with the preamps in that Carvin mixer. So that's a pretty cool thing to know about this. Bass, most likely I tracked that with my PreSonus MP20, just using the instrument input. And you know, vocals, I know the lead vocal is an Sennheiser 421. The harmony is probably one of my Rode NT1s, and the bridge vocal is as well. That lead vocal, the rockin' lead vocal right out front, that was a 421. I don't exactly remember every single thing I used on this song, but I know the guitar would have been a Fender Rock Pro 1000 head and a 4x12 Fender cabinet that was loaded with 12-inch Eminence speakers, and I have that. I marked those on the tracks. One of them's the 421 and the other one's an SM57. So there are 2 mics on the speaker cabinet on the main electric guitar track for this, which is the only electric guitar track besides the lead. And that's just in one section at the end.
So I set up some markers for the left and right, basically the entire song here, just to make it easy to go back and forth. So let me go back to the beginning, and we're going to hear this. First thing I'm probably going to work on is the kick drum. So let's hear what we've got. Got a pretty good kick drum sound, so I'm going to go up here to Devices and then go to VST Mixer, and I'm going to zero in on this kick drum track, click Insert, and this gives us the Nuendo VST channel settings. I'm just going to change this from no effect on the inserts, which you have 4 of, to the Nuendo Dynamics. And turn that on, then click Edit to open the window. You've got a compressor, an auto gate, limiter, and all of the parameters that you need, including routing, which one of these you want in what order. I'm just going to leave this at the default. I'm really only going to use the compressor, so I'm going to click Compress and RMS to put the Nuendo compressor in compression mode instead of peak mode, and then adjust my threshold where I'm getting some compression, give it a little bit of makeup gain, and then let's hear that. Yeah, see, we're getting a really blown out kind of kick drum sound. Let's see what our compressor is looking like. Yeah, we're getting 4 to 6 dB of compression that way. I'll slow down the attack a little bit, and then I want a pretty fast release. I'm going to take this off auto. That sounds pretty good. So I'm going to go over here to the EQ, turn on the low mid band, and I'm going to want this more around 350 Hertz. And then we can duck out a little bit of that and change our bandwidth. Right here you can see the curve down here is changing. It's taking out a little of the low mid mud. I'm going to go here and change this 100 Hertz to 60 Hertz and boost that a little bit. Well, that's changing the bandwidth. Boost is here. Oops. Oh, gotta turn it on. Duh. And then go up here to the low mid. Now I know on my kick drum, which is the vintage Ludwig kit, that it has a lot of attack around 28.99. In this case, turn that band on, boost the attack just a little bit there. And now we have a pretty good kick drum sound. Stop that playback. Now let's move on to the snare drum next. I'm just going to go through this kind of quickly just to show you what this can do. I want the dynamics on that one too. Click edit. Do the same thing here. We got to turn on the compressor, change that to RMS mode, 2.5:1 ratio. Bring this threshold down some. And again, I take auto mode off. I don't want a real fast attack. I don't want to kill the attack of the snare drum. I do like a fast release, usually on a rock song, because it'll make the snare drum sound even more solid and thicker. So we'll just kind of listen to that and see how that's working. Ratio down a little bit. Oh, that's not horrible. It definitely doesn't suck. And for the purposes of this demonstration, that's going to work. And so the snare drum, the hi-hat, I forgot to pan that. I'm going to pan the hi-hat to the left. I already panned the toms out from left to right, even though the toms really only play during one section of the song, and then my overheads are panned about 75% left and right. The room mic's right in the middle. The hi-hat doesn't need to be super loud, so we'll pull it back a little bit. In fact, let's pull everything back just a little bit, except the toms. I really want the toms to kind of stick out. I like my toms to sound big and huge, especially since they really only play during the bridge of this song. So let's hear our room mic on the drums and see what that sounded like. That's sounding pretty good. We can probably put a little compression. Let's try the Nuendo Dynamics 2 this time. Turn it on, hit edit. Compressor on, RMS mode. Let's leave it at 2:1. Bring it down till we're getting just a little bit of compression showing on the meter. I don't want the auto release. I want this to have a longer release. I don't want to mangle the cymbals in the room sound too much. Now I can compress it just a little more. That sounds pretty good. Let's hear that in the mix. So just get up. That's the chorus, or actually the bridge. It's one of my favorite parts of this song. Here's our bass track. I'm going to go through here, click the insert on the bass track. Let's go ahead and locate back at the beginning of the song and listen to the bass. Okay, I'm going to put the dynamics on it. Smooth the bass track out a little bit, turn the compressor on, click RMS. Probably going to want to compress the bass a little bit more than I did the room mic. I don't want a real fast attack on the bass. It's kind of an aggressive song, so I want to slow down the attack on the bass guitar and give that some makeup gain. Let's play that back and hear what we've got. Sounding pretty good already. We could probably add a little bit of 100 to it, give it a little more low end. Nice, you can even drag this around a little bit. out. So I'm just taking out a little bit of low mids. It's around 475. You can also use the collar on this knob here to do that. See what that sounds like. That's pretty good. It's still got a lot of attack. I think I'll just leave that alone. And that gets our bass done. Let's go ahead and save the project. Now we'll move on to the electric guitar. We've got the two mics on the guitar cabinets, so let's pan those a little bit with the 421 to the left and the 57 to the right. And solo both of those and hear the guitars. Guitars are sounding really good. For the purposes of this demo, I think I'm going to leave them alone and move on to the acoustic guitar, which plays during the bridge. So let's find where that comes in, which is right around here. And then let's open our mixer window. Oops, wrong button. Open the VST mixer back up so we can hear the acoustic guitar. Solo that track. That acoustic sounds like it's a stereo track. It most likely was done with the Electro Voice Blue Raven mic in front of the guitar and then the Rode NT1 over the player's shoulder. I did a video on that mic technique for acoustic guitar a while back, so you can go back and look at that if you want to. But that's already sounding really good. Another thing I want to do before I go any farther is move back a little bit and go back to the drums and look at the overhead mics. I'm going to solo both of those and listen to the overheads. The overheads sound pretty good, but what I want to do is actually come in here and turn on the dynamics again. Just the built-in Nuendo stuff that came with this software is all I'm using. RMS mode 2:1 is going to be fine for that. I don't want to compress the overheads very much. I'm really only doing this to show you a little more about this and what this software does and how this works. We'll leave it at auto release and raise our attack so we're not cutting off any of the attack of the cymbals or anything like that. Let's listen to that overhead. Turn on our high shelf EQ and boost that up just a little bit. But let's not at 12,000 or 12 kilohertz, let's go at 8K. So now I like the way that overhead sounds. What I can do is I can copy the settings from this channel by clicking copy over here. They can change it to the right overhead and then I can paste the settings. And now my overheads both have the same treatment on them. Solo up the acoustic again right here. You're not invited. Let's add a little bit of compression to the acoustic just to get it to sit in the mix. We'll try the Nuendo Dynamics 2. Click the edit button, compress, RMS. I really want a very low ratio. 1.7 to 1. Let's pull this back just a little bit. Slow down the attack. We'll leave that on auto mode and add a little bit of makeup gain to it and see what we get. Just adding a little bit of compression, not much. That was my 1977 Alvarez acoustic guitar. It's a 000 sized acoustic. It's that Alvarez SLM Music, the imported Japanese guitars. And I was using that acoustic on nearly everything back, 5 years ago when this album came out and we were working on it. So I like that sound right there on the acoustic. That sounds really good. The only thing I'd like to do there is just to make sure we don't have a lot of mud, and set this band here to something relatively low. We'll set it to 60 Hertz, and it's a low shelf. You can see that moving there on the screen. Let's go over here to the lead vocal track. Add some compression to the lead vocal here. Turn on compression, change it to RMS mode. 2 to 1 is probably fine. And slow down the attack quite a bit. It's kind of an aggressive vocal. I don't want to mess that up. And then let's hear it towards the beginning of the song. A little makeup gain. Every time you try to take me down, accomplish nothing, get in my way. Nothing better than the truth, at least I thought so. You're not invited anymore. You can hear that little bit of delay on the lead vocal. That was, like I said before, it was done with a Line 6 Echo Park pedal, and I routed that using the Carvin mixer, and this vocal track was the Sennheiser 421 straight into the Carvin MX2488 preamp, and then probably used one of the buses so I could send the delay from the pedal to the track, so it was printed that way, which I like to do that because it saves me time later, and then it keeps me from second guessing myself. Let's go down here to the bridge, which I didn't set a locate point for, so I have to go click it and then open the VST mixer again. So the bridge has two different vocal tracks. There's a different bridge vocal and then a harmony. You wind me up, spin me around. That sounds like the 421 again. Let's add a little bit of compression to that bridge vocal. Again, just using the Nuendo dynamics that are there. RMS mode, turn the compressor on. Treat it kind of the same as the lead vocal. It's a little smoother though. So we can take this out of auto and use a slower release. And we can use probably a faster attack too, and that'll be fine. Let's try that now. You wind me up, spin me around. And then what I'd like to do, let's see, I'll go in here, I would like to copy that bridge vocal, the settings that I just put on the compressor. I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to change the track to the bridge harmony and paste those settings so that I have my same compression settings here that I just put on that bridge vocal track. And then we've also got a lead guitar here that comes in right after the bridge vocal, and as I was messing around earlier, I've already got some compression on that lead guitar. Probably doesn't need a whole lot. Let's lower the ratio on that lead part. I don't want a whole lot of compression on that. Electric guitars are already fairly compressed anyway, but it is an aggressive thing, so I don't want to have it have too fast of an attack here. So let's find where that lead guitar solo starts after the end of the bridge vocal. It should be right around here. Pretty cool little song. All that sounded pretty good, except I'm hearing some junk in the overheads I don't like. So let's go back to the 2 overhead tracks and look at what our EQ is on those. All we did was add some high shelving at 8 kilohertz, and I'm guessing that's either a little too much, or maybe I need to take out some around 2000 to smooth that up a little bit. Let's go ahead and copy this setting over to the other overhead mic, paste, and let's give that a listen again and see. Try it with the whole mix. I'm going to take a little bit of the high end out of the room mics. That's the overheads. I want the room mic right here. And I just want to take out, turn that on, some around 2 kilohertz, and then take out some of the super high end that's kind of trashy. And then just for the heck of it, we'll boost some lows in that room mic. That'll probably sound cool, who knows. I just brought the 2 electric guitar mics closer to the center. They're still panned out to give it a wide sound. I just brought them into the center just slightly more, just because I think that sounds better. It's coming together pretty well. I want to find the spot where the toms play in the bridge, which is the only spot where the toms show up in the song. I want to listen to that. Let's open the mixer window again. So I want to see if I've got those toms like I want them. Sounded good. The acoustic guitar now is a little bit too loud. The toms are jumping out of the mix like I want them, but let's go back in here and let's take out a little low mids out of the toms so that we can push them up a little louder in the mix. Pull a little bit of that, change our bandwidth. And then let's copy that to the other tom tracks. This software makes that really easy to copy and paste between things. The toms also appear to be missing a little bit of attack. So let's raise this up to a little collar on this is a little fiddly to use here. 3.3 kilohertz maybe? Just to get a little more attack on the toms, a little more stick attack. Let's go ahead and copy that. Paste that to the other 2 tom tracks. And let's hear that section with the toms again. pretty good for the purposes of this demonstration anyway. It sounds great. The acoustic guitar is still sticking out a little more than I'd like, so let's hear that again. The lead guitar solo part down just a little bit in the mix and pulled the harmony vocal back just a touch, and this sounded pretty good. It's really gelling pretty well for a short demonstration video. This sounds pretty good, so I'm going to go with that. Save the project, and I'm going to go ahead and export. Can I do that now? Audio mix down, there we go. And just choose, that's fine, that folder, gives it this name. We're going to export this to a 16-bit 44.1 kilohertz file. And click save. Let this guy mix the track for us now. So now I'm going to copy the final mix onto a USB drive. And yes, these old Macs, at least this one with Mac OS 9.2.2, it will read and write to a FAT32 formatted thumb drive. And so I've got my transfer thumb drive plugged into the back of the PowerBook G3, and I'm going to take this mix, I'm going to copy it to the USB drive.
Every time